we know about mean, median and mode. They are actually the measure of central tendency, that is the center of data. So we will talk about the measure of dispersion today. To continue, first we will generate data. So here we will generate data randomly between 200 to 300, and we will generate total 30 data points. So these are our data. Now we want to plot this data using the box plot function of Seaborn. So if we plot the data, we can get, that is, this one is the minimum of minimum of the data, and this is the maximum of the data. That is, this is almost around 200 and this is almost around 300. Then this is our first quartile, this our third quartile, and this one is our median. That is, median is around 56 to 57. Now we want to plot this data again by adding a few data points. So look at here, we printed data for the range 200 to 300, and now we are adding here 10, 25, 100, 400, 450, 500. These data are so far from these data. So if now if we plot this is our new data. Here we just change it for new data. If we plot this, then we get the same thing, but here are few white circle. So these actually represent the outliers of the data. The outlier means these are these don't represent the data points actually. So these are outsiders. Now we will discuss about the measure of dispersion. So if we the first measures is range. So range is nothing, just minimum to maximum. So if we want to get the minimum, we can use the mean function, mean of data. So our minimum value is 200. Then if we want to get maximum, we can use max function. This is 300, and so our this is the range actually. So if we want to print it, so our range is 300 to 200. Now we will talk about the variance. So there are in every data we talk about here should be a mean, that is the center of data. And what is the variance is, means other data points how much far they are from mean. So if we actually realize the variance, that is, this will be the square of that distance. So variance is the distance, that is, so it is actually a distance, that measures what? Mean to, suppose if our data is x, that is data point is x, that is this distance is mean to x, and this should be squared, that is square of mean to x. This is the variance. So this is actually not logical, that is if the distance is 4, then the variance will be actually 16, 4 square. So this is not actually logical. So we mainly use the standard deviation, that is the square root of variance. So that will be actually the mean to x, that is the data points distance from the mean. Okay, now let's see how to calculate it. So this, if we look at the formula, then xi represent every data points in a data x. Okay, so now what we can do, we need to first calculate the mean of the data. So we know how to calculate mean, that is sum of data divided by length of data. Okay, we can save length of data inside n. Okay. So we get our mean. Now if we want to print it, now let's proceed our next section, that is for x in data. Then what we will do, we will minus mean from each data points, that is x minus mean, then it should be, so the every data point, every difference should be squared. Then if we want to square it, then this is the summation sign, so we should sum it, and this entity should be divided by n. And how we can get our variance? So if we print the variance now, so our variance is 1030.82. And if we want to recheck the result using the numpy, okay, we can use the np.var function. Variance using numpy. If we print it, we get the same result. Okay, now we will calculate our standard deviation. So standard deviation is nothing, just the square root of variance. So STD will be our variance, and it should be squared, that means 0.5 as a power. Now if we print it, So we get 32 point. So this is our standard deviation. And if we want to recheck again using the numpy, we can use np.std function. So we get the same thing.